We started doing music full time within 3 months of us starting on Twitch, and the rest is history.
COVID was when we got fired from my job, so we had no choice but to do full time. And we sat down and were very real with our community, like, hey, this is all we got, and we're going to show up and we're going to do this. And if you guys want to support us, great. We totally understand if you can't. But we put so much more emphasis into our Twitch stream and kept growing. Yeah.
They funded our Sundance trip. So it's just like, they're so kind and supportive of us.
You turned yourselves into GIFs and your GIFs have over 1 billion views.
Yeah,
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's so cool. There it is. I'm definitely going to use it in my work Slack.
29.3 million.
Oh my God.
700 million. You've also been able to do partnerships with Adobe.
Mm-hmm. We're really fortunate that Adobe values us as educators, and especially in the Twitch space.
There's this thing on Twitch called a hype train. So for us, we say, okay, if we complete a level 5 hype train, we're going to dress up in what we call...
I want to give all the money in my wallet to see that, like right now.
My one friend is like, they pay you to do what now?
This is They're Good at That Shit, where I talk to musicians about what they're really good at, and we just get their advice, get their best practices. My guests today, they are full-time Twitch streamers. They Twitch and they do creative projects. That's what they do. So we're going to figure out all about how they do that and what they do. CA in LA, thank you so much for joining me, Courtney and Ashley. How y'all doing?
Good. Oh, so good. How are you?
Oh, great. So what's going on? You good?
Oh, yeah. We actually just got to play, for everybody watching, we just got to play a show with Broadway at Hotel Cafe this past Sunday. It was amazing. We had such a good time. The crowd was amazing. So Twitch, we're trying to recruit you. They have been trying, and they're like, oh my God, he has to come on Twitch. Yes, we know.
I do need to get on Twitch. That's part of why you're here, so I can figure out what's going on. Because, okay, I knew Twitch was a thing. I knew that it was there, that it existed, and that it was a streaming platform. Other than that, I didn't really know a ton about it before I met you. I didn't know that you could be on there and make money as a musician and fund your music projects and fund your film projects from Twitch streaming. So thank you for that introduction. So first of all, okay, how did you kind of get on Twitch? How did you start?
Yeah, one of our film friends, Chris Ash, he actually was like streaming, doing gaming on the platform. And he was like, you guys would be perfect, just hear me out, to get your films out there. And so we started gaming. That was a disaster. We started then doing music on the hour, doing covers. And our community at the time was like, do more of that. Yes. And so we started doing music full time within 3 months of us starting on Twitch, and the rest is history.
Yeah. And at the time, the music community was very small. Like, there was not even a category for it. We were streaming in I actually don't remember what it was
creative.
Creative, like IRL, where they just kind of threw everybody who wasn't gaming into that category. And then I think it was maybe only 100 of us at the time. And we all just started being like, okay, but music though. And the community's grown exponentially since then.
Yeah.
Okay. So you started streaming on Twitch doing gaming.
Yep.
Yes.
That you said that wasn't really going
disaster
that well.
No.
When you say disaster, what do you mean?
So we were playing Nintendo games. But Courtney didn't grow up gaming. I grew up gaming. So it just didn't. It just didn't. We played Mario Kart a lot.
Yeah, but also I feel like the interaction is so much different when you're gaming than when you are playing music, whereas Ashley and I can play music and read chat at the same time.
Okay.
So it's very easy for us to have community engagement, which is so important on Twitch. But when you're gaming, you're focused. If you're in the middle of a race or something, you're not doing that.
Okay.
So when you're first getting started and someone comes in and they say, hey, how's it going? And it's the first person in your stream, you want to drop everything and say hello. But if you're looking at something else, it can be really, really difficult. But yeah, music was where we looked the most comfortable, which we were. And things just kept going from there.
Okay. So after 3 months, you started doing the music, and you pretty much immediately you were able to, or how long did it really take you to get comfortable and then to where you could just do that full time?
I think the hardest part was realizing how much gear we needed. They say to stream, you only need two things. You need your computer, whatever that is, and then you need your capture card or whatever it is that you're going to be doing. No, with music, and that's what people underestimate about Twitch, is the sheer amount of gear you need to sound good.
Okay.
Because you are essentially producing a live show in your living room or wherever your studio is.
Okay.
And there just isn't a lot of gear out there that is for specifically music streamers. It's usually for someone who's doing a game. And so they have all these things tailored to gaming, but music is a whole other ball game. So I would say it took us maybe, well, I mean, it's kind of hard to say because COVID was when we got fired from my job. So we had no choice but to do full time. And we sat down and we're very real with our community. Like, hey, this is all we got. And we're going to show up and we're going to do this. And if you guys want to support us, great. We totally understand if you can't. But we put so much more emphasis into our Twitch stream and kept growing. Yeah.
Nice. So how does that work? So you're on there and people can donate or what? How does that work?
Yeah, so you have, I don't know now because Twitch just changed the rules that it used to be you had to be affiliated or partnered, and there's like certain benchmarks you have to hit of like having 50 followers, having 3 people concurrently watching you and stream for 7 days. So that's the affiliate. And then you can start getting subscriptions, you can start getting bits, which is the Twitch currency. And then you can set up like a PayPal and people can donate directly to you. But now they're making it from day one, most streamers can get monetized. So you don't have to do that grind for affiliate the way that most people do. But a lot of people in the music community, as soon as they hear there's a new music streamer, everyone rallies around them. It's like a huge, beautiful phenomenon that only really exists within the Twitch music world.
What do you mean by that? They rally around, and what is that?
Yeah,
look like?
So it's like some of the the Twitch music community is very passionate and very about uplifting and supporting musicians, specifically new musicians, to kind of like welcome them home and make sure that they feel safe and heard and elevated. So as soon as news gets out that there's a new music streamer, everyone kind of like gravitates towards them and helps get them ongoing with like music gear and stuff, because there's certain things like lighting and cameras and like mixers and stuff that will make your stream look and sound good. So getting them to a level that like they are good and off to a great start.
And sharing the information, because we all went through hearing what didn't work, learning what didn't work. And it was so frustrating that if someone's like, hey, new music streamer here, what do you guys think? And everyone's like, this is what I have. And music streamers also have their gear list. A lot of streamers have this, but they'll have a list of everything that they use. And then if you were to get started, there are so many things that are already available to you because we've all already found what works. But another way of rallying is it's called a raid. So basically when you're done with your broadcast, you then can send your community over to somebody else. And so that's how it happens. So then you get a ton of new eyes. And if you raid a new streamer, then it's kind of like you're vouching for that streamer and saying like, let's all just go love on this person and see what's going on over here. And so you can grow your community that way.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So, all right. So if I want to start my Twitch streaming career, I know there might be a lot of things that you might need. You mentioned some of the gear. If I'm getting started, kind of what's the basics that I need to kind of get it off the ground?
A good mic. Your mixer is going to be absolutely important because your audio quality is truly everything. And then, having a good mic. I mean, if you have one good camera, you don't need to have a ton. There's 2 of us, so we need more, but a quality camera and...
I would say as far as gear wise, that's great. But learning the culture of Twitch is huge. So just figuring out like the type of streamer you want to be. You can present your personality as being anything that you want to be, but you have to also make sure that that's sustainable. So like making sure that you can show up and have a schedule is something that's huge. Making sure that you've got like commands and stuff so that you have all of your promo set. So if someone wants to follow you on Instagram, that you make it as easy as possible for them to do so. Finding mods, those are the people that keep your chat safe and make sure that no one's being mean or like chat's moving well, like that kind of thing. That will come in time. But the more prepared you are when you start, as far as making sure that you've got your bio there, that you've got like links to your podcast, links to your YouTube, links to Spotify, that kind of thing, so that you make it as easy as possible for people to support you.
Yeah. A lot of times people say that you should be using your other platforms to funnel people into Twitch, which is important. But Ashley and I have found that it's so much easier to grow a community on Twitch and then funnel them outward.
Yeah.
So once you get your community, exactly what Ashley said, make sure that your podcast is one click. And there are ways you can do that with commands and stuff. But just make sure that, hey, I'm actually doing all of these other things. And the music community are so much more willing to support you when you have other things going on.
Yeah.
And it's not just I'm sitting here and I just want you to pay me while I play music. No. They want to see that you are trying to really pursue something and they want to get behind that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So I've got my ducks in a row and I want to start the Twitch streaming thing. How does the money work? How do you kind of start getting paid?
So you as a streamer, you can set, there's 3 different tiers of subscriptions. One of them's $6, one of them's $10, one of them's $25. Okay. You as each streamer, you determine what values come with each one of those subscription tiers. So if someone subscribes like tier 3, which is the $25, you can say, oh, I'm gonna send you a personalized mix CD. That's a lot. Don't do that. We did that before.
Yes, it is a lot.
But it's really just figuring out, it's monetizing what is unique to you. And so the more unique your incentives are for bits. So for example, in one of our movies, Courtney has this really manic laughter. And so we put that as one of our sound alerts behind the bits. And that last week netted us like over $200 at $4
hold on,
sound alert.
Her laugh netted you over $200.
Yes.
Explain that again.
Okay. I don't want to come out and be like, oh, if you do these things, then you're going to get these things.
Sure.
We've spent a long time building our community and having really weird quirks to our channel. And it's just finding ways to try to monetize that. So an easy way is when someone's able to pay you, excuse me, you will have a set of emotes, which is kind of like an emoticon on your iPhone or like whatever phone, but you can make them your own. And so that's the easiest way that Twitch already gives you a way to incentivize people. So tier 1, you get 5, or tier 2, you get 10. So they have different amounts. So then people say, oh my gosh, I really like the one of Broadway's keys. It's really nice. And that's a tier 2. I'm going to spend the $10 so that I can use that. So that is one way in which you can do it. And then
they can use that emote in other channels. So then if somebody else sees that, that's marketing for you.
We've definitely bought emotes because someone used one. We're like, that is amazing. I need that. And then we went and we subbed to their channel to use it. And that's a monthly thing. So people will resub to you every month or what have you.
To be able to use those.
Yep. And then the bit alerts are just super, super fun. And when we're using them, so music is kind of hard to have sound alerts because if you want to use your music elsewhere and then someone decides to use a sound alert in the middle of your song, you're like, well, I can't use that anymore. Yeah. But they're really respectful about that. They usually use them after your song is done, which is very nice. And then to just be courteous of the person who requested the song. But yeah, the bit alerts are really good because they're fun and they're just, you can add whatever sounds you want.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then set the dollar amount that you want.
Okay. So what is a typical Twitch stream session for you guys look like?
So we talk a lot.
Okay.
So we stream about like 4 to 6 hours, and it just really depends on the vibe. It's like on Monday nights and Wednesday nights, there's a lot more frantic energy, where Friday and Saturday nights everyone's a lot more chill and like, now we can party. But like we've got everybody who's stressed out from work, especially on Monday nights, so they just like want us to sing a lot of harmony forward, like calming songs, whereas on Fridays and Saturdays things get really wild.
Off the rails. There's this thing on Twitch called a hype train, and so a way that you can trigger a hype train, you can set those parameters. But for us, it's if 3 different things happen within 5 minutes. And by those 3 different things, meaning someone gives you 100 bits and another person resubs to your channel and then another person gives you bits or something, it triggers the hype train. And then you'll see this bar at the top. And then the more people would get on the hype train, you can unlock new emotes that Twitch provides. So then you just want to get to this hype train. And so for us, we say, okay, if we complete a level 5 hype train, we're going to dress up in what we call super suits. They're really silly. They're just a combination of tutus and blow up inflatable suits and wigs and glasses. And
Banana
then we do
suits,
banana
hot dog
suits. We do
suits.
karaoke.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then we do 1 to 3 songs of karaoke. And then we're like, thank you so much for completing the 5 hype train. We're going to go change. We'll be right back. And then we sit back down and then we're normal.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to give all the money in my wallet to see that like right now.
My one friend is like, they pay you to do what now? And I've sent him pictures of us and he's like, I don't get it, but that's great for you guys.
No, that is
it's
amazing.
Fun. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. So at any given time, we're singing music, we're talking, we're working on art, we're talking about film education, or we're screening some of our work.
And you mentioned film education. You've also been able to do partnerships with Adobe, brands like that.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, we're really fortunate that Adobe values us as educators, and especially in the Twitch space. So we've done a couple streams with them last month. We got to help launch their Photoshop app. So we were talking about, as creators, like right off the Hotel Cafe show, we had a bunch of photos that were taken. And so how we can edit them on the go and be able to take content that has already been made and use it for other social media assets. And so just trying to help creators and streamers see that you can multi-purpose your work, and you should be multi-purposing your work, and doing so through like Premiere and through some of their other apps, and showing them kind of our workflow of what we do with existing content and how we design our work and like some of the stuff that we do.
Because too, you need so many assets all the time. You need flyers and Instagram posts and stories to promote. Yeah. So we also walk through that.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Nice. How did that partnership with Adobe come about?
We joined their Odyssey group. They are very attuned to who is using their stuff. And especially because we're in film, they were like, all right, we see that you guys are doing a lot in the film community. You're already using our stuff. And they reached out to us and they were like, okay, we have this Odyssey group. We want you guys to come be a part of it. And since then, it's kind of spiraled because they're like, wait a minute, hold on. I'm sorry. You're on Twitch too? Oh, and you do music. So it's just, we've gone to a lot of their events and networked our butts off. But yeah, they're so integrated into our workflow. And yeah, we've just been doing a lot of work with them. So it's been great.
And the Odyssey group, what exactly is that?
It's like an off branch of just talking to editors in the film community, because Adobe does way more than just film editing. They're graphic designers and so many other things. But that was just specifically for film, where they can talk to editors and be like, this is what we're releasing. This is what's new. What do you guys think? They're really, really good on feedback, and they talk to their community a lot, and they listen. So they're constantly updating their stuff based on what the community is saying, which is great.
Cool. Have you been getting into any of the newer like AI type of tools? Any of that?
You can answer that if you want.
Yeah, we actually just demoed something within Premiere that's media intelligence and search panel. So it's using AI to help filter out. So for example, in one of our vlogs, if we're looking for some video of us dancing, we can type in dancing and it'll go through all of our clips and give us exactly all of the exact timestamps. And we can just drag and drop that into our timeline. So we use the AI in that manner, but we don't use it for like the generative. But we also will use it for in Express to help develop fonts. So you can have it generate like we did like a cotton candy font, and you can generate that kind of thing.
Yeah. So again, exactly what Ashley said. We don't really use it any sort of generative fill. We don't use it to create anything. We use it to help us find what's already in our workflow, and then just try to make that faster, but not adding.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I brought that up because I think a lot of creatives are scared of AI in general.
Understandable. Yeah.
Because of what you were talking about, the generative thing, and they don't want to, and people are worried about that, I guess, replacing us in the future.
Yeah.
So that is a concern. But as you mentioned, there are ways that you can use it to help you be more productive and efficient.
Yeah.
And I think, go ahead.
Oh, just AI tools have been around for a very long time. It's how workflows get expedited. It's how we move forward in technology. So it's really hard to be in any position where you say, I don't want any AI because you've already been using it, or like I'm completely against it. You shouldn't swear off the things exactly. Like media intelligence is such a great feature. It is able to sort through our footage so quick that it's like, why would I not use that? You are not taking away my creative ability. You're just showing me what I have. So there is such a gray line in there. I actually don't think there is a line, because for everyone it's different, but I don't think it's something to be afraid of. We are absolutely concerned it will take jobs away, as it very much already has.
Right.
We just try our best to use it responsibly and in a way that it helps us, not in a way where we are taking anyone's work. It's just, does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. So how has Twitch helped your music in terms of, has it brought, people to your Spotify? Has it brought and helped you grow that and that type of thing? Talk about that.
Yeah, we started a YouTube channel, and we were blending different types of content, but our covers from us on Twitch actually do the best. We started making originals only because of Twitch. That as we were doing covers, people were requesting us to do originals, and we're like, we don't have any. And they were like, well, get originals. And so
wait, hold on. Time out. So you weren't artists in the sense that you weren't creating original music.
That's right.
Before Twitch.
That's right.
Right.
Okay, hold on. So you got on Twitch.
Yep.
People said you should have original music.
Yes.
And so then you started creating original music.
Yes.
Film was our, and is like, film is the thing. And so when we got to rewind in our timeline of creators really quick, but when we lived in Maryland, we needed to fund a feature film. That was our goal. We spent an entire summer working at a restaurant, and they had live music on 2 different days. And we were like, they're making some money doing this. Okay, so maybe on our off days, why don't we throw our name in and be like, hey, we'd love to do that. And they were like, we would love if you guys did that. So then we said, now we need 4 hours worth of music. So then we're like, what songs do we know collectively? And then when we ended up moving out to California, we had this whole binder of cover songs that we knew. And so when we started doing Twitch music, it was very easy to start doing covers because we already had that. And then we already ended up streaming we've already done 4 hours worth of music. Wow. So it was very easy to cross that over. And then they were like, hey, originals. And we're like,
So you were just doing covers in Maryland to make some money.
Yeah.
To help fund your film projects.
Yes.
And did you grow up singing and playing guitars and piano? And
yeah, she actually learned piano on stream.
Self-taught, on stream.
I've been playing guitar since I was 14, and I played in my church choirs growing up.
We've both been singing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but you didn't really have thoughts of pursuing it professionally before Twitch?
Right, that's correct.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So
Twitch creates more questions than it answers. I feel like.
No, it's all good. I'm learning. This is very cool. Okay. So you move out to California. You start Twitch, and then people ask for originals. So you're like, we're gonna do the originals, and then from there you just created Spotify and start performing and start doing all of that. But you really weren't doing that before.
Yeah, our first live show actually was because a Twitch musician was touring, and he was trying to make sure that in each city it was local to the music scene. And so that was our very first show, and our band, Marknificent and Coco Confession, we put out a thing on Twitter, and we're like, hey, we need a bassist and a drummer. They were like, cool, let's try it. And so we've been playing music with them full band ever since. And then later that year was our first time playing TwitchCon as a full band. We would not be playing live without the Twitch basis, because as you experienced, it's a very generous crowd. They're very attentive and very attuned. And so stepping outside of that, it was always really, really, what's the best word? Stressful, chaotic, because they provide such a safe space, both on stream and in person. Yeah.
Wow. So talk about TwitchCon. You just mentioned that. How is that? I mean, and from what I was reading, TwitchCon, there's 20, 30,000 people depending on the year that go to the convention, and then you're performing there. So talk about that experience.
TwitchCon isn't, and Twitch doesn't really they recognize that Twitch music exists, but it doesn't really get many resources. So the music stage, when we started, it's like way on the opposite end of the convention, and you happen to stumble upon it. You're like, oh, there's music. There are many people who still don't know that music even exists on Twitch who have been on Twitch.
Okay.
Yeah, very odd. But anyway, we're a small but mighty community. But you apply as a streamer, and then there's this big stage that they set up, which was not the case before. When they first had it, it was actually a streamer and their band. They paid for everything to try to set up a music stage. And they're like, hey, Twitch, please recognize that we're here still. And then Twitch started providing a stage for us. But it's really, really cool because you get to play in front of like people who are walking by, but your community shows up. That's like the biggest showcase and probably the largest group of people you'll have being able to see you, because a lot of times they won't come out to LA for these little shows, but at TwitchCon, all of the streamers that they want to see, well, a lot of the streamers they want to see are there. Other community members are there, and it's just a rolling stage all weekend. So there are a bunch of different streamers that play, and they have the time set up so communities can go watch.
Awesome. What other festivals have you been able to play? I know you've done some other festivals as well.
Yeah, we haven't like played at any other big festivals, but we've played at a lot of the grassroots shows. Something really awesome about Twitch music is that there's a lot of independent producers that throw shows, and a lot of us happen to be in Los Angeles. And we started throwing shows in 2022, and I think that we've thrown maybe like 7 or 8 shows, varying from like little showcases at bars to like a large Christmas show that we did for 2 years. That was like a $10,000 like produced show.
Yeah, we started doing that just so we could play live because we hadn't really had an opportunity to do it, which is so wild that now we're working with Writers Round. That was just from a film friend. And he was like, yeah, I'm doing this Writers Round thing. You should come out. And then our name got pulled. And then then the next time we were a featured artist. And so that's kickstarted us being able to play things outside of Twitch and actually play in LA. Yeah. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, no problem. I appreciate y'all being there. Do you feel like Twitch, because you mentioned playing out live, do you feel like Twitch helps you prepare in a sense for playing out live? Because I feel like, you know, when you're sitting in your living room or whatever, you're practicing, and then you get out into the real world, it's a different vibe, and there's something you can't exactly prepare for. It's just sitting in your living room by yourself. Like there's, especially, you know, when you first start doing it, because there's those nerves that you're like, oh, wait, what is this? Like this wasn't there when I was at my house, you know? So do you feel like the streaming live on Twitch kind of helps you kind of prepare for some of that and what you encounter when you go outside and play?
Yes.
Yeah. In your living room, you're talking to nothing. You have it's that recognition of like, there's just screens surrounded you, but like, without chat engagement, it's still nothing. When you turn everything off at the end of the night, it's just you in the living room. And so you are able to bounce ideas off and see what works, what lands, what doesn't. You can try iterations of songs and see, okay, that arrangement really, really went well. This one didn't. Oh, we should add piano here. We shouldn't do it there. But it gives us a lot of like real-time practice and learning how to speak publicly and like professionally. So like we've gotten to be much more poised with Twitch, not only like professionally, but then also vocally.
Also, you develop really thick skin because even if you thought something was awesome, there will be someone who comes in who just wants to be mean, and you hear some really nasty things. But I think the practice is absolutely pivotal. And those nerves playing live just comes from, all right, well, what do I need to sound my best? I need to be able to hear myself. I need all of these things. You go to a live show and there's no guarantee that you'll get any of that. And that's a big part of where our nerves come from. But at the same time, we always have to remember to have fun, and that things have gone wrong, I think, pretty much at every show. So that's just a normal thing. But yeah, having that live feedback too kind of prepares you for an audience in general. So it's very, very helpful.
Yeah. And just having an audience, it kind of can give you that kind of adrenaline spike too that you kind of get when you're on stage. There was this Paralympic athlete, and he competed in the Paralympics this past time in France, in Paris, and he was an archer, and he didn't have arms, and he would shoot the bow and arrow with his feet. And I saw an interview with him, and he was talking about how he prepared, and he said that he prepared for the Olympics. He would jump out of a plane before he would practice. He would skydive, and then he would practice to give him that adrenaline spike. And so he was like, when, I was at the Olympics and I started sweating and my heart rate started elevating, I've been there. I've done that. And so, obviously I don't recommend jumping out of a plane before you practice your set or whatever. But, doing something like streaming live, can give you those reps and give you that practice. And it's something to kind of help at least simulate some of that adrenaline rush, I guess.
Absolutely. There's the thing about adrenaline, and that's why people jump up and down and run around, is because, and why people start shaking when they get nervous, is because the adrenaline has nowhere to go. That's all that it is. And that's why they recommend, so like scientifically, if you do that, it releases that adrenaline. And for us, playing on Twitch will absolutely do that. Even there are times where we'll get super comfortable with our community and we're like, all right, these are our people. And then a big streamer will rate us with like 200 people. And I get the same. I still will get that like, or if we're on the front page or something, which is rare. But when that happens, I'm like, oh my God, there's so many people watching us. But you have to keep putting yourself in those situations where that fear exists so you can learn to play through them. Absolutely. That is so impressive and good on him.
Yeah, for sure. And you just mentioned being on the front page.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
It's so different now.
Yeah. You can apply. So we're partnered on Twitch. So we can apply on a monthly basis. But once you've been on the front page, you can't apply for 3 months.
Oh, okay.
So at any given, in a year, you can be on the front page like 3 or 4 times. But then there's also different elevation moments. So like Black History Month, Women's History Month, Latino Month. They do a couple other ones here and there. But I know we had friends that were just in the Black Brilliance, and then they're also in the Legendary Women. So there's like a certain shelf that is on the front page that they're rotating out like about 100 different streamers.
Yeah. And if you have any sort of major event, so for us, if we wanted to live stream a show, then we say, hey, we've got this big thing going on, you should elevate this and put this on the front page. So anything or if you have an album release and you're celebrating with your community, or you're celebrating a partner anniversary or something like that, that's a reason for them to be like, okay, we'll do that. If you just apply and you're like, just because pick me, probably not.
Yeah.
Okay. And you turned yourselves into GIFs and your GIFs have over 1 billion views.
That's correct.
Yeah.
1 billion with a B, everybody. 1 billion views. First of all, how do you even think to let's turn ourselves into GIFs? Like how did that process happen?
How did that process happen, Courtney?
There were, I don't remember the name of the other one, but there's Giphy and then
Tenor.
Thank you, Tenor. And you would see them pop up in chats sometime, not on Twitch, you can't use those, but just around, like on the internet, you would see all these. I'm like, those are super fun. Ashley and I are so animated. What if that'd be cool. And there were so many moments on stream, I would see one of us be like, or something. And I thought it was amusing. So I would just start making a time code of when that happened in our stream. And then I would go back and record the screen and then start uploading them. Okay. There's one of Ashley that is the reason why we're at 1 billion, because this one has cleared 500 million. I think. Wow. I think it's responsible for half.
It's at 600 million.
Can you kind of simulate just for people what it kind of looks like?
It's so our camera was out of focus, and so
Courtney, I was trying to focus it, so it starts out of focus.
But I was just like, and so
and then she purred and winked. Oh my gosh. It's popular.
It's but at least once a week, someone from random parts of my life will be like, hey, I think I used you in my Slack. Yeah. It's you, right? Yeah.
So I just started accumulating all of these simply because I thought it was fun. And you can use them in text messages, and I see people use them all the time. And I was like, well, that'd be kind of fun, not expecting anything from it. It was just, I started doing it. And then eventually I thought maybe we could get ourselves verified on one. This was before you could buy your verification. I thought maybe we could just get a check mark on one, because Twitch check marks don't mean anything to the rest of the world. And they told us no every time, and that's okay. I gave up. But but I just still create them because I think that they're funny. There are some of us in Hype Train super suits on there. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll have to look those up.
It's a good time.
That's definitely a good time.
Yeah.
And so you just see people just hit you up like, hey, we've seen you.
Yeah.
Guess what I saw the other day? And they'll send a screenshot.
I mean, I would say that like that's been the most beneficial is that like that has caused me to reconnect with a lot of people that I normally would never have had a conversation with.
Right.
But it'll be like, hey, I used you. And then we'll get talking and catching up about life and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Someone did actually come into our Twitch channel because of that.
Yeah.
Really?
They were like, I found you on Giphy. And then I saw you were on Twitch. Because I went down this rabbit hole. I was wondering where all of these came from. And all of these setups are different. Well, like they were the same, but we started rebranding and things. And like now I'm here. It's nice to meet you guys. Like, hi. Well,
they're also in the film industry. And so we've talked like editing tips and tricks and yeah.
You never know what's going to be the thing that's going to connect you with somebody that's going to lead to something. Like you really never know.
It's true.
And so that's super cool that you've made yourselves GIFs and that they have over 1 billion views.
Do you want to see it?
That's really awesome. Yeah.
It's so fascinating too because she started it years and years ago before Twitch of like our film stills. And so we have gained people going and checking out our films because of this too, because they're like, I have to see where this came from. So it has been a really great funnel in ways that our music and film haven't, but all like kind of work in tandem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's so cool. There it is. Okay.
Ridiculous.
Wow. All right.
Oh, I love it.
I'm gonna use that in the future. I'm definitely gonna use it in my work Slack.
29.3 million.
Oh my God.
700 million. That is insane.
I love it. Anyway.
All right, so you were just talking about film. How's the film stuff going?
It's going really well.
Yeah.
Our catalog is over 200 films, from shorts to a feature to music videos, documentaries, and our output used to be so much more. In Maryland, we were able to produce and kind of like churn out films relatively quick. We didn't give ourselves a lot of time to make decisions, and so that helped us in not overthinking things and having projects take a little bit longer, which now is much more beneficial to us. But back then, when we were still just learning what our voice, like trying to find our voice, trying to find our style, and trying to find the stories that we wanted to tell, that was really, really cool to be able to have a summer and be like, yeah, we did 10 films this summer.
Yeah.
So like 2015 was like our most prolific year where we put out like 22 short films, and we won awards for over half of those. And we did a lot of like 48-hour film festivals. But now we're focused on doing more like absurdist comedies, which are a lot more expensive to make. And then also just in LA, everything is a lot more expensive. Yeah. Absolutely. So we've gone from producing like 20 films a year to doing like maybe 1 or 2 films, and then doing like vlogs here and there, documentaries, music videos, but nothing like huge. We are planning on doing 3 films this year. Last year we started a trilogy, which we're calling the Connection Trilogy. And we're really fascinated with Black Mirror and human connection. Black Mirror's essence being that technology and like humanity, we will destroy ourselves because we just don't know any better. Right. But I'm really fascinated. The CEO of Bumble actually was speaking on how we're going to get to a point that we're not going to need to date one another. We're going to have AI avatars that exist in the metaverse, and that they will date for us. Then if they connect enough, then that'll be a suggestion for us to now we cannot waste our time and we'll know for sure that we're compatible. So it's very interesting that we are so eager for connection, but yet we're not doing anything to connect like truly with one another. So we're really interested in exploring that in a concept that Courtney and another of our amazing actor friends, Chris Ash, they're going to be acting in all 3 of the projects. We did our first one last year called Mommy Issues.
It's where the laugh came from.
Which is where the laugh came from.
Okay, I got you.
Courtney plays 2 characters in that film, and it's hysterical. But just being a lot more intentional about the projects that we are working on, and really trying to grow our network of collaborators, from costume designers to production designers and VFX artists and all that jazz.
Awesome. I think you said something really important a little bit ago, and that was that you were just creating, especially in the beginning, just creating as much as possible, just create. I think a lot of times people are too precious with things, and then they don't do anything. Like I was talking to a musician the other day, and amazing, incredible singer, keys player, but she doesn't have any music out on Spotify. And I'm like, yo, just let's put it out. Let's put it out. And she's like, I know, but it's my first thing. And just put it out. I know, I get it. It's like, it costs money, and I get it. You want to you want it to, it's your baby, you know, and you want to take your time with it. And I get it. But also I feel like the more you just get used to just throwing things out there and just doing it and just getting started, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's just so huge. And just get started creating, and I think it just helps you in the long run.
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
I think a lot of people think that it cheapens your art to just constantly put stuff out there, but it gets you over that hump the same way that performing gets you over that hump. You have to just keep doing it over and over again till it becomes familiar. So sorry.
Right. No. There's a reason why so many bands just put out EPs that are nobody, and then when they get signed, they actually re-release that EP as an album, but they wouldn't have been found had they not even just sat in their living room and released something.
Right.
So artists do it all the time. And to every musician listening, that's completely normal to do. It's not anything to be afraid of. Ashley and I have released music on Spotify that now we're like, ooh, but that's okay because also it's a way to see your own growth, which is really, really important. And for film, when we were doing it, we would make films to learn a new skill. That's why we were doing that. So we can just learn more, or you don't know how things are going to be received. And unfortunately, in our creative industries, it is about how many people receive your stuff well. And people can't receive it if it's not there.
Yeah. And yes, you want it to be received well, but sometimes you're not going to get there until you just, start doing stuff, throwing stuff out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, just like with this podcast, for example, I started it and it was on Zoom, and you know what I mean? And maybe if you go back and look at some of the early episodes, like some of the shots maybe weren't, as good as maybe, like as they've gotten. So, and I'm still not there. We're still trying to figure things out, but it's like, you just gotta do it. You gotta keep putting it out there, and keep trying things. And, and then over time, that's how you dial it in by doing it.
People love an overnight sensation. They love it. But then you have the people that are like, oh my gosh, I was with them when they had nothing but a single light in their room and there was like maybe a plant in the back. And that people love growing up with artists and creators. They love watching the progress. They love when you are on Twitch in particular, when you start an original on stream, you're like, I think I'm just going to I'm going to try this riff really quick. And they watch the growth. People want that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's just, don't be afraid to do it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
Just do it.
Yeah. Just do it.
And you just took a trip recently to a very big film festival.
We did.
Yes.
Yeah. Talk about that.
Yeah. This was Court's first time. I've wanted her to go. I went in 2016 and just the atmosphere, the vibes, to Sundance in 2016. And just getting to go this year was really, really special. We're finally in a place professionally and creatively that we were able to go for a week and really immerse ourselves in the panel discussions and in seeing films. And it was just a really, really remarkable and invigorating experience, especially because it was right after the wildfires had happened. It was like the first ounce of fresh air that we had gotten. And also when you go to a lot of organizations and trips, a lot of the panels are kind of just fluff. They're not really informative, and no one's really telling you anything. They're not saying anything. And at Sundance, everything was just so rich. People were so giving. They were so inspiring. We learned so much that we were able to take back immediately.
Yeah, it's also really nice. And I don't think that people think about this enough, as how much your face needs to be remembered.
Yeah.
You will not get opportunities unless you don't even have to talk to anybody. But if you're in the room and someone sees you, subconsciously, they're going to remember. So for us, as many Adobe things that happened there, we were at all of them, just to make sure that we were talking to people and saying hey, we are still here. We really appreciate what you guys are doing. And that's a really important part of networking that is not spoken about. You just need to be in the room too, and try to talk to one person. And not everything is going to come from everybody that you talk to, but you have to remember, you have to be remembered constantly, which means if you're not at the forefront of someone's mind, someone else is going to get the opportunity because they just spoke to them the other day. And Sundance was really big. We ran into so many friends too. And they were like, oh my gosh, yeah, I meant to reach out. How are you doing? And now that just initiated that conversation for future collaboration. So that's really important too. But it was great.
Yeah, for people looking to like play more shows, for example, out in LA, like so many times I've just been out somewhere and people are like, oh yeah, you want to play this show coming up? Like that happens all the time. So yeah, just being out and talking to people, networking. You mentioned Adobe. Are there any other resources, whether it be with Twitch or whether it be with the filmmaking side, like that you use to get good at this shit?
Ooh, that's great. We're constantly learning. We're constantly putting ourselves in situations that we are uncomfortable in, that we have to learn and we have to grow and we have to create so that we can push ourselves. We spend a lot of time at museums. We have a rule that we have to get out and do a museum once a month at bare minimum. We have to be reading constantly. We have to be seeing other art forms, because if we're not immersing ourselves in all of these different areas, then what are we doing all of this for? And we also actively embrace that we are plants. Courtney is a huge plant lover, but we have to get outside and get sun. We have to drink water. We have to sleep. We have to take care of ourselves. The grind is nothing if you can't show up and be there. So that we also do work with Black Magic as well. They're really, really amazing about supporting creators and innovators and being there to help support community-driven events. So they've been great. Like just getting out there, putting yourself out there, like you said, is huge.
Yeah. And when it comes to putting out your work, we were just talking about just deciding that it's done and just getting it out there. And that's important. But on the inverse, you have to remember that nothing is ever done. So when you think you're like, all right, I'm good. I think I did this. I'm going to just coast for a little bit. No, you don't coast. You then say, oh man, you know what would be cool? And you go get inspired. And then for us, it's museums, but then you have to then learn how to do something else. You have to keep upgrading and learning constantly. Try a new guitar riff, or for us, it's upgrading our stream. If we're like, all right, fine, we're settled now. No, we need to change something. The newness is important because it keeps you from getting bored. And if you're bored, your audience will be bored. So nothing is ever done. As much as it is done enough to be out in the world, it's still never done.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that you said that you make yourselves uncomfortable, and then you said that you keep learning or keep elevating because you're never done growing, So yeah, I love that.
We do use that monetization to then funnel them to like a Patreon. We do that too.
Okay.
Where we do all of our behind the scenes of film and music. So they see the beginning of it or they see the finished project. We'll play some of our films while we take a quick break. And then we're like, all right, and if you want the podcast of what it took to make this film, go over to our Patreon. Then so now we have people who join over there who get all of the nitty gritty. We just released a script. We'll release behind the scenes photos of stuff. So it's just another, and like I said, people love that stuff. They love watching someone create something.
Something that's so small, but is so powerful is that before our shows, we'll drop our set list to our Patreon subscribers. And it doesn't matter if they're going to be there or not. They're like eating it up because they know this information while nobody else does. And it's like something so small for us that we're like, what do you mean that you want to see my set list? That's, but like, it's stuff like that. And then like, Courtney shared her acting script from Mommy Issues, our latest film. And that was a really big deal. Wow. And just little stuff here and there of like doing a talk back of like what the filming process was like, what the lighting process was like, sharing the stuff that we've already made, like lighting plans for the film, shot lists for the film, our playlist that we were listening to that we sent to the actors and the crew, like things like that.
And even with music, our very first recording of an original that we wrote it and we had to get it out. Twitch is just a really amazing, but also very vulnerable place to be in doing that, especially with music and with endless amounts of feedback. Sometimes you're like, I just need to write in private because I'm the one putting the song out. But it's still really, really awesome to have people even be interested. And the rough drafts, or sometimes we'll send lyrics that we started and then just never made it into a song.
You talk about funneling people to your Patreon with things that we may just think like, oh, it's not a big deal or whatever, but you've been able to provide these things for people and then they will turn around and, give you money for it. So that's awesome.
I will say something about Twitch and how they split their money financially.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually don't know what the breakdown is of what percentage of the bits that they take, but they take less of that. They take 50% of your sub. So if your sub is $6, they take half. So now when there's two of us.
Oh, okay. I see.
It dwindles.
Yeah.
And then that's no taxes taken out. So then it just dwindles even more. But there are things like the Partner Plus program where if you hit a certain amount of sub points, then they'll give you a 60-40 split or a 70-30 split. Which has been really good. And that's what we aim for. Cause we're like any more that we can get, we absolutely try to do. And we only make money that we make on Twitch. Everything else is to run the business, to upgrade our gear or anything like that.
Yeah, you can have a tip goal that goes straight to your PayPal.
Which they don't touch,
Yeah, which like that you can set as anything. So we're always funding creative endeavors through those links. Or if we're like looking to get a new piece of gear, or we have a show coming up in Denver. So like right now we're funding our trip to get out there. But that's the like main way that we're able to do all of these things. Like they funded our Sundance trip. So it's just like they're so kind and supportive of us.
And you're gonna use that now to fund. You're working on an album as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you have that going as well from Twitch.
Yeah. And we met our collaborators. Our drummer is going to be like producing it as well. So like we're going to be able to fund him to be able to do it because he is so close to it. And then now we have timelines of like, cool, we need to, does anyone have any suggestions on where to get a vinyl pressing? And like 10 people in chat are like, oh, this musician just went through them. Don't do that. Don't go through them. They had a lot of problems. But like this other musician went through this person, and then giving us that time frame of like, okay, cool. If we want a vinyl in time for December, we need to get it pressed by September, which means that we can work our flow backwards and not be pressed up against the wall for time.
Right.
So it's stuff like that of like, you can reach out, you can get suggestions, but they also, you get connected to producers, you get connected to collaborators. Right. It's just, you never know who's watching.
Twitch Music is really great about not gatekeeping information, which I love them for that, because it's so many times you're like, can someone just tell me the cable that I need to make my microphone work? And then they're like, no, I'm not going to do that. But Ashley and I are like, what do you need to know? We'll just tell you, because we've struggled so much, and we don't want anyone else to do that. And the world needs more music. It really does. And more art. So we're just, please take everything that I know, and I hope it works for you.
That's awesome. No, I feel like that's kind of key too, because like when you give to the world freely, I feel like the world will give back to you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for musicians watching, I know you mentioned that you have shot music videos. Do you still shoot music videos?
Yeah,
and
we love to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So y'all hit them up.
Hit us up
for music videos. CA in LA. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Courtney and Ashley, I appreciate y'all for taking the time to be here, talk about all things Twitch.
No, thank you. Thank you for being interested. Again, Twitch creates more questions than it answers, because it's so much Twitch jargon that it's like, okay, I got to explain what this is and what these are. But if you have any questions, please just feel free to reach out.
I'll reach out. All right. Cool. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Broadway, the host. If you got something out of the episode, definitely go ahead and hit the like button. Also subscribe and turn on the notifications so you can get notified whenever we drop new episodes. If there was something specific that you learned or found interesting, put that in the comments. Also, if there was something that you thought you were going to learn more about, wanted to hear more about, and you didn't, put that in the comments as well. We can use that to make these episodes better going forward. Thank you again for checking out They're Good at That Shit.